So in this video, we are going to learn about conditional rendering in React. I think this is one of the most important concept. Again, I know there's so many important concepts, but I think conditional rendering you will be using a lot. So I'll be sharing some of the few examples. They'll be tiny. I want to keep them tiny so that you can understand. This is the theme of this whole series. I don't want to give you big codes because then it is harder to explain and harder to understand. So what we have a component where we are conditionally rendering two outputs. We have talked about conditional rendering briefly in some previous tutorials, but let's dig a little deep. I need to grab our browser here, and I think you should be able to see it. Let me zoom in. All right. So what we have here, we have a component inside. We have this const called is logged in, which is currently true, and we have this if statement, and this if statement returns a JSX. Pretty interesting thing, right? So if this if statement is true, you'll see this statement. Otherwise, you'll see this. If currently you see we have welcome back because is logged in true. If I make it false, what will happen? Let's see. It says please sign in. Pretty basically, you have seen this in so many websites. When you logged in, you have different message. When you sign in, you have different message, right? Pretty generic, but this is how the simplest way of doing conditional rendering in React. I mean, other ways are also simple, but this is like the most common you can say use, easy to understand. And now let's see the other way. So now this is the similar thing. Now we have the const is online false, and in the p tag we have this conditional rendering here. So if is online is true, this is called ternary operator. Like if, pretty easy to understand. In here we have this variable. If this is true, this statement will execute. If this is false, this statement will execute. That's all. So right now if we see it, it says offline. If I make it true, save it, come here, it is online. And I mean, you can do this, like you can have a button which is conditionally, you can add use state. So this is an exam exercise for you. If you want to try, why don't you add a button here, and when you click it, this turns into offline, and then you button press again online, so it can toggle between online and offline. So this is an exercise for you if you want to try. I would highly recommend you try that because then only like you can understand about state, how state changes, and how you can conditionally render that. I think it is pretty easy exercise. If you have been following so far, you should be able to do that. If you're not able to do that, I think you need to go back and study some of the concepts we already talked about. It's okay if you can't solve it, that's totally fine, but I would highly recommend try that, because if you don't try that, you will not be able to know like how much you know. So now let's move to our third way of conditionally rendering in React. Now we have something different. We have a const value which is 3. It says count. If it's greater than 0, we have that ampersand sign, you have that many messages. So right now this 3, so this statement is true, right? So this statement is true, and I mean this is an and operator, right? So this will only print if these two statements are true. I mean this is always true because this is just some HTML, right? It's always true, but this condition can change. So if I show here, you have 3 messages. What if we make it -1? Save it, go back here. You don't see anything. Now it's nothing, right? Why? Because now the whole thing is false. The whole thing is gone. So this is the third way you can conditionally render um, inside React. There's another use case of conditional rendering. Let me show you that as well. You'll see that a lot in the case of like when you condition rendering the CSS properties. So we have this const primary, which is currently true. So we have talked about the ternary operator. If primary is true, you'll apply this class, otherwise you apply this class. So right now I don't have these classes, I'm just showing you example. uh, if you turn it true or false, nothing will happen because I didn't give it a class name. I mean I should have, but I just, this is an example, right? So if you create a class with this, you can add button primary, then the button primary will apply to the button. Otherwise, if you change it to false, then it will apply back. So this is one of the common use case in CSS. So when we going to do our codes, sorry, our project, not codes, will be using these kind of condition rendering a lot. So it's pretty easy. Again, you inside return operator, right? So you can use that. You can add classes, remove classes, whatever you want to do. You can do conditionally so many things. So I think, yeah, that's it from condition rendering. I didn't want to make it too big because uh, you just need to understand what how you can do it. uh, yeah, so that was it.